Morning, folks. Today's soap a little bit different. Got a shaving mug here that I've got various parts of samples of partially used samples I just mashed up and put in the bottom of the shaving mug here. And there was a while back, a few years back, Classic Shaving used to sell these mugs. And I think there's a place on Etsy that still might be able to sell these things if you're looking for one to get your initial put on there. I got it whipped up here with the 3D printed brush from the Shaven Sailor. I have a link down below for this sort of thing. It's got a synthetic knot, but it's just a little on the wet side. It's not quite drippy, but it is wet. Got it. It didn't take any time at all. There's about, in other words, a while back I went through some samples and partially, some partially used and whatnot. And so there's about 10 samples in there, varying in size. So as I lather down through there, there's different layers of scents. It's I don't know. For me, I thought it was kind of cool. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm going to follow the shave up off camera with the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Star Jelly. This one here is Planet Java Hive. So in other words, it's going to be a coffee scented type aftershave gel. And I went ahead at the time, I like coffee scents, so went ahead and got the matching beard oil. And if you're wondering, there it is right there. Tells you what's inside here. And typically, pretty much, I think, maybe not necessarily all of them, but a good number of the scents are available in the beard oil that could be doubled up as a pre-shave oil. Haven't quite tried that one with Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements just yet, but one of these days I'll get around to it. Shave of the day. This one here is a little bit different than probably what you normally would see when it comes to this one here, if you can see it, it's a Jim Jr. Sometimes you might see it, this one here is kind of got a little bit of a gold color to it. Some of you may see it just in the raw brass, or you might see it in chrome. There's two different ones that you might see like this. This one here is the Jim Jr., and there's another one that's called Treat. The handles will look kind of familiar, especially in shape. This one here, the bottom is hollow, or open, I should say. And the Treat one has a cap on the bottom of it. And anyway, these are kind of handy to have, especially if you like something that's got a bigger diameter handle. Kind of fits better in the hand, but this one here is still pretty short. Already put a hot towel to the face this morning. And we'll go ahead and get started with the, I'm going to use the pre-shave soap. It's sitting right up here. That's the reason why I'm looking over there. This one here is the holiday scent. Sometimes I might refer to it as the Christmas scent. There's not a whole lot left there. It's about a little bit more than halfway gone. But I can still smell it. Has a nice scent to it. So if you're liking the pre-shave cubes, or perhaps you want to get started in getting an 8-ounce of a pre-shave cube. I think they're outside of the standard flavors. I think there's 2 additional flavors that are still available right now. I'll put a link down below to all the pre-shave goodness that Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements has. Because in other words, if you don't want a cube, something that size, or maybe you want one in a tube for travel, or you just want something totally different. I got started using the pre-shave just by a sample that was sent to me quite some time ago. And it was just an unscented but mentholated pre-shave soap, and just really liked it. So that's what got me started in all of this. Because the menthol, I do enjoy the menthol, eucalyptus, spearmint, peppermint, all that sort of lineup of scents, and it works well for my nose because I have such an issue half the time being able to smell much of anything, and that is one thing my nose does pick up. I've got some Soap Commander that's in there, Captain's Choice, Stirling, Vito's. That's just to name a few. I've got a few of them that are down in there. So the scents that are flowing through here will, like I say, it varies as I lather it up and work through it. Seemed to work out pretty good. Yeah, all of them were pretty relatively soft outside of Vito's, which was kind of dried out, but just pressed it right on down in there, and been lathering with it off and on, off camera. Blade of choice, of course, is the Gem Teflon coated, and these here, I usually, when I buy these, I try to get them in the 100 pack, I guess you might say, and because it took me quite a while to find these that were Teflon coated. And then the Tree Supers, you usually can find those at 5 in a pack, and those work really well also for me. I guess you might say those are my two favorite blades for using in shavers like this. This is about the third use on this blade. When it comes to shaving mugs, they all come in very different sizes or bowls. I got a few bowls sitting over here. Some of them are wood and some of them are ceramic. One bowl in particular was not made to be a shaving bowl, but that's what I'm using it as. And I'm going to put a link down below. When I was on Etsy, saw one that I was not familiar with that some folks might find the bowls interesting. There's some that are already made, and then there are some that you can order to be made the way that you like them. In other words, the color scheme and whatnot, made to order. And those made to order will take about 3 weeks from start to finish. But what I thought was pretty unique about these bowls is, besides the bumps that they have on the side and all that sort of thing to help with the creation of the lather, but what I thought was pretty unique is that when you do the made to order, you can have it with a recessed bottom in it or not. The recessed bottom made for, like, a puck of soap, for instance, and I thought that was a pretty good idea, especially if you're familiar with the size of samples of maybe like Soap Commander or Stirling or anybody else that has, in other words, about a 1 ounce size puck of, that's a sample, 1 ounce size, would fit down in there pretty easy. Soap Commander and Stirling's soap samples are pretty soft, easy, to mold to fit whatever you're trying to fit them down into. And I was thinking that these bowls would be fantastic, especially with that recessed part down in there. Putting a soap sample or two in there, especially like a Soap Commander from time to time would have a grab bag, bits and pieces of ends of various different soap, I guess you might say logs, if you will. In other words, just various different ends that you could get and press down in there and, have it ready to go shave with right there in your shaving bowl. Now my nose, trying to sneeze. There's the part that's not necessarily for a shaving puck. It's still got a little bit of a recessed part down at the very bottom, it looked like, so that, in other words, if you had a smaller sample, it'd still work in that kind of bowl. Comes in different colors and also has a place at the bottom where you can grip it on the bowl. Thought that was pretty nice. You can tell this soap, the mashup, they all work well. Work great together also. Just an idea for some that have soap samples and you're trying to figure out what to do with them, especially if you only use part of one and you got several that are like that. A little bit of feedback right through there. Matter of fact, that is one of my trouble spots right down through there, because the whiskers, they grow every which direction right through there. And then I got a spiral right through here. For me, this particular shaver is a lot of fun to use. The diameter fits my hand rather well. The length, yes, it is short, but it just fits just right for my hand. You'll find them on eBay every once in a while. Not too terribly expensive. They usually have pretty decent shape. My thoughts were, in other words, why would they create these or make these back in the day? My thoughts were, this is probably their version of, let's say, aluminum. It's not really a heavyweight because the lightweight handle, all the weight's going to be up here on the head, but it's easy to grip, but not really heavy. And a lot of those other handles were kind of small in diameter. And if a guy was needing something bigger to hang on to, and maybe even lighter, this here would fit that bill. Pretty easy to hang on to. It's just a thought, especially when it comes to the older generation that I'm kind of fitting into. Might have some handicap issues. In other words, for instance, if you're losing your grip in your hands and you need something bigger to hang on to, but you're not looking for the extra weight, a shaver like this would fit that bill. And you can imagine back, in those days, that sort of thing was not discussed in advertisement or much of anything else along the ways. So you kind of figured that they could be addressing something along those lines without being, how can you say, too terribly obvious. That's just something that didn't happen back then. Talking about men's declining health in public, advertising, or anything of the sort. Once you get used to these shavers, find the blade that works best for you. Like I said, this one here, this Teflon coated PTFE, and the Treat Supers work really well. There's other blades that are out there. They're not, to me, they're not as smooth as the Treat Super and this Teflon coated. At least for me. There is a PAA carbon that's out there. I don't find it smooth at all. Doesn't work well for me, but some people really like them. It is a your mileage may vary thing for sure. For me, when I put all those samples together, it was just putting soap together. I wasn't trying to match any scent. These two scents might go together. I was just putting them in the mug. And to be honest with you, it's working out quite well. I enjoy using it. It is really easy to use this as a daily driver. It's not that tough to keep clean. I use a cotton swab on the majority of my shavers at the end of the shave. It just takes a quick moment, not that long. And it's not that they get super clean doing that, but they stay clean enough where you don't have that kind of buildup of soap or anything quite like that going on. For me, like I say, it just takes a quick moment. Not any kind of super deep cleaning or anything after each shave. Clean enough to where they are presentable, I guess you might say. It's not going to bother me when I look at it and see the soap build up. Yeah, that's going to bother me. Matter of fact, not too terribly long ago, Shave Emporium was talking about what they do to clean their razors and whatnot. And for me, one of the things, the hot water, and whether you just want to use Dawn in a soft bristled toothbrush or a well-worn one, if you will, it only takes a quick moment. You can either use the water out of your microwave, and we've got a Keurig. In other words, one of those coffee makers that use those little pods. I use the percolator most of the time, but I do use the Keurig for the hot water to clean the soap off the razors. It does make the hot water pretty darn quick, so that's a little bit more convenient. And as it goes for killing off any viruses or anything else along those lines, you might be able to use some pine sol or something along those lines that's geared to killing off germs and whatnot. In between the hot water, in between the hot water and the soap, I think that pretty much takes care of a lot of it. Some of the dishwashing soap is antibacterial to begin with, so it just depends on what kind of soap you use. We still wash a lot of our dishes by hand, so nice cooling effect. Like I said, I'll have a link down below for this good stuff. If you haven't seen Star Jelly in action, better close that up and knock it over. I'm going to use this off camera, show you what it looks like here. It will look a particular way. I'll give you a little bit of an idea. That's what it looks like. But once you read into the description and whatnot, it disappears just like, see what I mean? It disappears just like an aftershave would. Coffee scent. I enjoy it. At any rate, I'll use the rest of this off camera. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe, stay healthy, and smooth shaves to you.